Okay, Jack, I haven't done this in quite a long time, so just to kick it off, obviously, you've been on a break for the last week or so how have things been with you and what did you do in the last week? Chill out?
Yeah, chilled out. I actually went to the Middle East to Jordan, which was both massively frightening because I was never traveled solo before. So did that for 5 days. Went to Petra, which is like an ancient site there that I had on a bucket list for years and years. Saw that, and then Luke, my brother, was playing in Dubai for the US Eagles against Kenya. So I surprised him over there. So it was two class things to get to do in the week. Obviously, I'd love to be up in Dublin and playing this weekend, but it was yeah, I suppose it was the second best thing I could be doing.
Very good.
Yeah. What about yourself? How were the academy and stuff?
Well, similar to yourselves, we had a bit of a break. We gave the guys some downtime just to coincide with yourselves. So we're back on the horse, so to speak. It's been challenging, Jack. It's difficult for the guys because all we have is AIL rugby. We've only had 2 Eagles games this year, so it's been difficult. Obviously, we're out the other side of COVID, but we have the fallout and that we just haven't been able to get those A matches as often as we wish. So we're just reliant on the AIL rugby, which can be difficult at times.
Cool, fair enough. There was a few bits in terms of obviously the 25th anniversary of the jersey, which they're launching. Do you think that it's gone, like say when you were playing back in the day, what did you think of the jerseys? Do you think they were like real, I suppose they obviously aren't fitted to what they're like today, or did you even think about that?
No, obviously, you kind of live in the moment, don't you? And at the time, you just wear what you were given. It's amazing to see how it has evolved and developed, because I do recall that jersey vividly, and obviously we had good evenings in it and good days in it. But I also recount is that even when playing for Ireland, it's hard to imagine that we used to wear a jersey where it was I think it was one size fits all, and they had shoulder pads built into the so-called shoulders with down to your elbows, and it was amazing to believe, but that was just what everybody did. It was one size fits all, and I could tackle you from 2 or 3 yards away and I'd be still holding on to your jersey. They were kind of like little spud sacks or potato sacks, but the whole thing has evolved, and obviously we've gone into the skin tight jerseys now. Same with the shorts, I suppose. And it wasn't the plain, mundane, boring stuff that we used to have, which was green jersey, white shorts, green socks. 4 provinces were the same. That's it. So listen, you got to move with the times.
I'd say even though, like, just with obviously the weather and stuff we had here, playing back then with them on, like, did you find it nearly was like sitting, the like muck and rain was sitting on you nearly?
Of course, yeah, because they just kind of absorbed everything, you know, the muck, the rain, the wet. So you were carrying an extra couple of kgs around with you, along with the guys who wore shoulder pads, or the guys might have worn their scrum cap and the like. So yeah, you had a couple of extra kgs in your body, which wasn't very comfortable, I must say. But there were the times. The game's moved down massively on and off the pitch, so that's just part of the evolving of the game, isn't it? Since it's gone pro.
In terms of like playing back then and playing in Europe, was there any games or moments that would have stood out for you? Obviously you coached in it and obviously you played in it as well, but is there any that particularly stand out?
I think it's obviously relevant to the jersey that you're obviously promoting. It's 25 years since we played in that similar shirt. And in the old days when the game was kind of transitioning from amateur to professionalism in '96, we had some great days in the old amateur days. Our coach that particular time was Warren Gatland, who we all aware went on to great things, but we had memorable nights, and the one that stick out obviously in that particular shirt was just being the first Irish team to win in Begley Bordeaux, as it was called then. It's now Bordeaux Begley. And that was in France, the first Irish team to win on Irish soil. But you know, the good thing for us and that group of young men, because we weren't all professional, some were amateur, some were working, some were semi-pro, is that we played Northampton out here on the sports ground on a beautiful sunny day, and they were full of internationals, coached by Ian McGeechan, full of British Lions and English, Scottish, Irish internationals. And we beat them quite well here. I think it was 42-13, and they thought it was a flash in the pan. But we went over the following week and we beat them in their place in Franklin's Gardens, which was nice. So I suppose as regards European games go, they were standout moments. And then obviously being head coach here, I think the Toulouse night was a special night. First game in the European Cup here, and my son was mascot, so nights like that you'll always remember. Yeah. And what about yourself?
Yeah, there's probably different ones in a non-playing sense. I think you were involved in the semi-final here when Connacht played Toulon.
Yes.
I remember it was one of my first Connacht games to go on the sports grounds. I was down the College Road end. Obviously, it was a close enough game. There was fellas from Athlone playing at the time. I remember Aidan Wynne started at 12, so having that bit of local interest in it definitely was made that more, I suppose, appealing. In turn, I don't know, it wasn't a European game as such, but I remember you came to Athlone, played Munster, and the weather was like something we'd have here, and ended up being a 3-0. Was it 3-0? They beat you 3-0, yeah. So yeah,
that was probably a good game, Jack.
So they're probably the two growing up watching that stand out. I think playing, there's probably two. Obviously the game against Wasps, the last minute kick. It was obviously a build up to that. The week before you would know the feeling when you haven't kicked that well, and you can kind of feel the pressure, and just to kind of, I suppose, get that and be able to give people the celebrations that followed and ensued after that was a special one for me. And then probably when we beat Toulouse here as well, the year after, I think it was 2017.
And in your frame of mind, Jack, as a number 10, obviously steering the team around the pitch, and obviously every game is a big game because everybody wants to win. How do you prepare, or how would you prepare for a URC match versus a European? Do you find the weeks different, or is there just a change within the camp on those particular weeks?
Yeah, look, you'd like to think that, well, I think everyone's prep you'd like to think is the same. I think the only thing that may change is, you're probably playing an opposition that you may potentially have never played before. It's not like a typical URC game where you're kind of seeing the same familiar faces every year. But no, I think preparation is, if you know what you need to nail during the week, it's going to look pretty similar. Obviously, there's the difference when you're kind of walking out onto the pitch. You hear the European sort of music that you would be accustomed to growing up. But I think, like the kickoffs are maybe sometimes a bit earlier in the day. So there is a bit of a different buzz sometimes. But for us as players, I think it's very similar.